Title options: 1, adoption crossed the line; 2, half the workforce, zero permission; 3, 50% and nobody noticed. Welcome to the AI Executive Brief. I'm Stephen Forte. Today, half of all American workers now use AI on the job. A free open source tool just autonomously breached 600 firewalls across 55 countries. And 96% of enterprises are running AI agents, while only 12% have any idea what those agents are actually doing. This is the episode where every adoption metric crosses the line, and the line turns out to be behind us. Yesterday on the show, we talked about the squeeze, Musk using the SpaceX IPO as a Grok toll booth, GPU prices surging 48% in 8 weeks, OpenAI killing Sora with 6 months' notice. The theme was leverage. Well, today, leverage has a companion, speed, and speed has numbers attached to it. Several numbers, actually, and they are bigger than anyone predicted even 6 months ago. Let's start with the workforce. Gallup published its Q1 2026 workplace survey today. They surveyed 23,617 employed American adults, and for the first time ever, half of them, 50%, say they use AI at work. That's up from 46% just last quarter, a 4-point jump in 90 days. 28% use it weekly, 13% use it every single day. Those aren't early adopter numbers anymore. Those are mainstream behavior numbers. That's the shape of a new default. As routine as email was in 2005, except it took email a decade to get here, and AI did it in 3 years. Now, here's the part that should keep you up tonight if you run a company. Only 41% of organizations have formally integrated AI tools into their workflows. 50% of workers are using AI, 41% of companies have sanctioned it. You don't need a math degree to spot the gap. 9% of the American workforce is using AI tools their employer doesn't know about, hasn't approved, and definitely hasn't secured. Do the rough math on a workforce of 160 million, that's around 14 million people using AI in the shadows. Let's call that person the shadow operator. They're not malicious. They're not even rebellious. They're just trying to get their Wednesday done faster. They found a tool that helps them draft emails or analyze spreadsheets, and they didn't see a policy that said otherwise, probably because there isn't one. The shadow operator isn't your problem employee. They're your most productive one. And you have zero visibility into what company data they're feeding into which model. Meanwhile, at large firms, 10,000 employees or more that have adopted AI, 33% are simultaneously reducing headcount. 1 in 3, not freezing, hiring, reducing. And 18% of all workers surveyed say they believe their own job will be eliminated within 5 years. So half the workforce is using the technology. A third of the biggest adopters are cutting people. And roughly 1 in 5 workers can already see the math on the wall. The 50% line isn't a milestone to celebrate. It's a mirror. Now, you might argue that 50% adoption means 50% haven't adopted, so maybe this is overstated. Fair point. But the trajectory tells you everything you need to know. We went from 33% to 50% in roughly a year. The question isn't whether the other half catches up, it's how fast, and what your operating model looks like on the day it does. Let's move to the second story, because adoption without security is just speed without brakes. Between January 20th and February 26th of this year, threat actors used an open source AI tool called CyberStrikeAI to autonomously compromise more than 600 Fortinet FortiGate firewalls across 55 countries. That's 600 breached network perimeters in 5 weeks. Amazon Threat Intelligence identified the campaign. Team Cymru confirmed 21 attacker servers involved in the operation. This was a coordinated, systematic sweep, not a one-off exploit. Here's what makes this fundamentally different from every other breach story you've heard this year. CyberStrikeAI is free, it's open source. Anyone with an internet connection can download it right now. And it didn't need a single zero-day vulnerability to work, not one. It exploited exposed management interfaces and weak single-factor authentication and the kind of configuration gaps that exist in thousands of networks right now, the ones that stay on the remediation to-do list because they're boring and nobody's actively exploiting them, until something that never gets bored, never sleeps, and works at machine speed starts looking. IBM's X-Force 2026 Threat Intelligence Report puts a broader frame on this. A 44% increase year over year in attacks targeting public-facing applications, driven in significant part by AI-assisted tooling. That's not a trend line you project forward. That's a phase change in the threat landscape. I want to be precise about the threat model here because it matters. This wasn't a nation state spending millions on custom exploits. This wasn't an elite crew burning rare 0 days. This was commodity grade AI running commodity grade attacks at a scale and speed no human team could match. 600 firewalls, 55 countries, 5 weeks, one tool, zero cost. The barrier to entry for autonomous cyber attack just dropped to $0 in a laptop. So if you're a CEO listening to this and your CISO tells you the perimeter is solid, ask one question this afternoon. Ask whether every management interface across your infrastructure is behind multi-factor authentication. If the answer is anything other than an immediate yes, you have homework tonight, not next quarter, tonight, because the attacker's tool doesn't take quarters off. Credit where it's due. Amazon Threat Intelligence and Team Simru did genuinely excellent work identifying and mapping this campaign as quickly as they did. The detection side of the industry is getting faster and more coordinated. It just needs to get faster than the offense. And right now, the offense has the clock. Third story. If the first story was about people adopting AI without permission, and the second was about AI being used offensively without restraint, this one is about organizations deploying AI agents at a pace that makes both of those problems compound. OutSystems released its 2026 State of AI Development Report today. They surveyed 1,700 IT leaders globally across industries and geographies. 96% of organizations are already using AI agents. Not experimenting, not piloting, not in a sandbox. Using in production on real workflows, touching real data. 97% say they're exploring system-wide agentic strategies, meaning agents embedded across core business functions, not just bolted onto one department. But, and this is a significant, but 94% of those same IT leaders say they are alarmed by agent sprawl. Agents multiplying across the organization without coordination, without shared standards, without anyone knowing exactly how many are running or what permissions they hold. And only 12% have a centralized governance platform for managing their agents. 12, not a typo. Gartner backs this trajectory with a forecast. 40% of enterprise applications will include task-specific AI agents by the end of 2026, up from 5% in 2025, an 8-fold increase in 12 months. Think about that combination. Your workforce is half AI-enabled, much of it unsanctioned. Your attack surface just got a free autonomous adversary, and your organization is deploying agents faster than it can count them. Each story alone is a headline. Together, they're a picture of an adoption curve that lapped the governance curve about 2 quarters ago and is pulling further ahead every week. Now, some of you might hear all this and think the answer is to slow down, pump the brakes, and I understand the instinct. But the CyberStrikeAI story tells you precisely why slowing down isn't really on the menu. The threat surface is expanding whether you participate or not. The shadow operators in your company are already using AI whether you've approved it or not. The companies that will thrive are the ones that see clearly, that know what their AI is doing, all of it. The sanction tools, the shadow tools, the agents, the attack surface, they don't necessarily move slower. They move with their eyes open. Everyone else is just moving. Here's what you can actually do this week. 3 things. 1, ask your CISO about exposed management interfaces and single-factor authentication gaps. Do not wait for the quarterly review. 2, find out what percentage of your workforce is using AI tools that IT hasn't provisioned. The gap between your adoption policy and your actual adoption is your real risk surface. And 3, count your agents. If nobody in your organization can give you a number, that is the number that matters most. That is the AI Executive Brief for Wednesday, April 16th. I am Stephen Forte. If this was useful, share it with someone who needs to hear it. I will be back Thursday with more. Until then, stay sharp.